Hi, Anna's Vintage Journals here. I posted some little vintage ephemera that I had made from Artymaze, one of her little kits there, the labels that I bought. And I had a little bit of interest in how I made them, so I'm just going to do a very quick little tutorial on them. First, when I bought the kit, the pages, they print out like this. These are the labels from her kit that I bought. And then, of course, I like to do up extra so that I can have them on hand when I start crafting. So I will probably use some of the bigger ones today. What I usually do is I have quite a few old books and things, so some nights when I'm just kind of not really in the crafting mood, which isn't very often because I work full-time and this is my getaway, I'll sit and I'll glue pages together, because I like to use like a double the book pages, because a lot of them older books, some of them are really thin and some of them are really they're the old paper, so that they crumble when you start working with them. So I usually like to glue a couple of the pages together. It makes it sturdier. So I will take one of them, I'll move them aside, and then I just grabbed a bunch of old scraps that I have. See which ones I'm gonna. I always save all my scraps, because they do come in handy for different things, because I do like to make a lot of little ephemeras for my journals. I like to have homemade. So this is the idea that I come up with. Instead of using the eye hooks that I usually do, I have so many vintage buttons that I decided I'm going to rig this up somehow, and I kind of quite like it. So I get a nice vintage button and the little tags from Artymaze that I made, and I think it went rather nice in my book. So that's the journal I'm working on for MJ Rustic Creations, the design team. I'll hopefully finish that up this weekend. So there's the book pages that you've glued together. You've glued together 2 of them to make it kind of sturdy. I use this, I think I got it at Michael's, the Recollections big tag punch. And then here's the other one that I'm going to use. But you can use any size obviously that you want to use. And what I do is I will just flip it over. My punch. There's a small one. There's the large one. And this is my favorite go-to ink that I use for everything. It's, of course, Tim Holtz. Take it. So take your little punched out paper book page, and then I ink around the edges. And then I do like to a little bit on them. I like rustic. So now you have a nice vintage book tag. And then I use my crocodile, my punch, roughly punch it out in the middle there. So now there's one of the tags. And then I will go through my little pile and pick out. I just kind of play. I kind of think, like, just see what I'd like. I really like these ones. So then I'll take it. I know most of these I've already inked up. Let's see, then I have my, and they come together so nice, I think. And then the first class I think I'm going to use. Hole punch there. So now we have the 3. And then of course, put these in there. What did I do with? I feel like I'm always misplacing something, but I just grab, I usually have a bag of scraps of, oh, here they are. My scrap lace and things. I think I'll just grab one of these. I like to put it behind the last one. Just for, I'll just snip off a little piece. So already I have 1, 2, 3, the little lace in there, and you need some of these bulb pins. I like the black. So I have the bulb pins. And I'm going to need a button, because I like a button. This one. Maybe this sort of reddish. Okay, maybe the ink. And sometimes I don't even use the buttons. I use these little sequins, I guess. They are, I guess I can't really. Sometimes I just use them on the front instead of a button. I'll show you what they, so, and then you're just going to weave the sequin. If I can get it in the middle of that little hole. The one sequin, then I put it through the first tag. And then sometimes I put the sequin behind. And then that's the second tag. Then a little piece of the lace behind. And sometimes if the lace isn't dark enough for me, I'll go and I'll just touch it up with some of the vintage. Or even the walnut. The walnut ink's nice too. And then there's the tea dye one. And then I will weave that through. So you now have just a very simple, cute little tag. Well, that's that one. And I will clip it. And then I will go on to finding a button to show you how I made these button ones. I think I like the buttons a little bit better instead of the sequin. And that one too, yeah, kind of, whoops. Oh, wait, that's vintage. There we go. So you can either leave this book tag plain, but I went a little bit further and I thought, oh, just to even add just a little bit of, you know, design, I guess. I was like, I'm gonna add, oh, I like that rustic looking. So I'm just gonna line it up with that. I mean, you can just cut it right out if you want. I'm just, and of course I like the vintage, so I have to tear it And then back to my ink. You can either gives it that very vintage feel, which I've always liked. There, gives me that, and I know it's going to fit on there because I just traced it out and cut it out. Then I always use my favorite glue, Aleene's Tacky Glue. Put on the back. And there you go. It's a little bit more decoration, I guess I call it. So we now have, I mean, I'm sure there's lots you can, but I quite like how that one's going. So that's that one. And then I was messing around and I thought, usually, like I said, usually I'll take an eye hook and I'll glue that down on the page, and sometimes I don't like how the glue, let me see my journal here. There was one I was working on. Okay, right here. There's one I was working on, and I just, you probably can't see it, but I'm fussy. I just didn't like how the clear, I used the Rangers, oh, what is it called? That Rangers glossy accents. Yeah, to put the eyelet down. But sometimes you get that clear look behind it. And anyway, I decided that I was going to try something different. All right, I'll show you how. I bought this after Halloween, like 75–80% off at Michael's. And I had wanted some, but it was, yeah, $8. Well, I paid like $2 for it. So it's the gauge wire. So what I did was, hopefully I'll find a button right away that I like. Yeah, this one's good. So I'm going to use this button. And then what I did was, cutters, the wire, I weaved up through one, and roughly you can tell, after you make a couple, you can tell how long you're gonna want it, roughly. And then, so I weave the wire through one, like you're gonna sew, and then I weaved it across it in through one of the other holes. I brought it up through, so you have like the two wires sticking out. And then I flipped it over and I pulled it down just to see, because I wanted enough, and then I flattened it out, like, because I want enough to be able to weave my bulb pin through it, but not too much to look too out of place. So I just kind of pull out what I want, and that right there is enough. Where's the eye hooks? Eye hooks, yeah, bulb pins. So see, that would be enough for the bulb pin to easily fit through and to move. So then I held it on the back flat so it didn't move, and I just took the two that, and I left them long enough so that I can twist them around. So you take the two wires that are sticking up and you just twist them so that they'll stay secure. I twisted it, and then so you have it all twisted so it can't go anywhere. So, and I took my wire cutters, cut them off, and then sometimes I took this one and I just kind of weaved it down through one of the other holes and flattened it. Or you can just leave it on the top, but I just flattened it, squeezed it together so that it just flattened it. And that is it. And you go back to your tag that you've made. You open your tag up. Slide it through your little, oh my goodness, I should have my glasses on. And there you go. You've now made a little button. I come up with this idea when I was Skyping with my granddaughter Callie yesterday. And I was like, oh, which button should I use for this page? And which button for that page? And then I was like, wouldn't I like to use my little vintage tags with a button? And then it was just like, oh, I think I'll just wire them together and put a little hoop for my tag to hang from. And I now have, I think, a cute little vintage ephemera. There you go. I hope you liked the tutorial. Thank you for watching. I hope it helps someone with their crafting.